Got water.
We got water in the fuel, which is not a good thing. So we need to take out one more time. Let's see. Here is the headset, and this is a headset with active noise cancellation, but I don't use it because it makes a weird noise.
Okay, let's push.
This is a very light aircraft, so even one person can push it. Finally, we are cleared for takeoff. Let's go. Here I'm flaring now because I'm close to the ground, so quite flare, and then we touch down main wheels first.
Welcome back to another episode of Weepils. Today we are going to Taiping. So after the security check and everything, let's go. This is how big of a bag you need to carry when you're going for a flight. What is special about this flight is that Taiping, it's not an airport, basically it's an airstrip, unpaved airstrip. Basically it's made of whatever is made of a natural stuff like soil, grass, whatever is called an unpaved airstrip, and it basically doesn't have asphalt like this. So let's go, I'll show you. We made it to the hangar, and right there is BDX ready to start up. So this is another plane which is going with us to the same place, Taiping. So they'll go first and we will follow them later in a different plane. That's the plane that we are going to take. It's NCU, the red and bluish one that you see. It's another Cessna 172. So they'll reach first and then we will also follow them, but we have to do a few procedures before we start up. That is checking the weather, weight and balance, and pre-flight test and all that. This right here is our clubhouse. This is where we sit, chill, relax, and right there is the wall of fame. Here you can find all the pictures of everyone who got license from here. This is me. I got my license on March 2023. It's been almost, yeah, it's been 2 years plus. And these RC planes that you see hanging up there, these are real planes. They used to fly, not flying anymore, but they used to. Now we need to do the weight and balance, which is very important for this flight because we are gonna be full today. Now let's set up our camera and we will be ready to go. I'll keep it in my pocket first, and then let's go for our pre-flight checks, and we'll have to be very careful during our pre-flight checks, so I don't want any distractions because so let's start with our pre-flight checks. Right here is my bag and my headset. I'll just keep it in first and then I'll start with the pre-flight checks, set it up my camera and everything a little bit.
Right
Yeah.
Okay, fuel drain have to do.
Yeah, I'll do everything.
Fuel, top fuel full, oil full.
Okay.
Drain.
So we have full fuel for this flight, and then rest of the checks I'll need to do. Let me put everything in place first. This is my headset. It has this is UFQ and it has active noise cancellation, which I rarely use.
Okay.
And I'll just plug it into the airplane. So it has two these plugs. One goes into for headset, another one goes for the mic right in there. That's that. It's set. Now I'll take out some accessories, the train sump and the stick. The stick I'll use for measuring the fuel.
By the way, I'm Vikas.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, Matthias.
So just met my passengers. These are two guys from Germany and they'll be flying with us today to Taiping. Now let's push the airplane into the center of the runway before I do my pre-flight checks. Putting their bags in, and this plane is quite light, so even one person can push it easily if needed, but I will just support my friend right there. So he is using a tow bar to guide the airplane where we need to take it. The front wheel can steer it using the front wheel, and then we'll just put it in the center of this yellow line. This is the marking for taxiing the airplane. Right here it's on place. Now let's start the pre-flight. I'll drain the fuel from left wing. This drain check is to check whether there's any water or contamination or impurities in the fuel. Check it in sun, there's nothing, so left side fuel tank is good. We can proceed with other checks. Here I'm checking if there are any debris or birds nest, anything inside the ailerons or the surfaces that move. That's all good. Checking for the brakes and air pressure, everything looks okay. This is just a visual check for now. Checking the rudders for free movement, and then if there is anything stuck inside the rudder and the elevators, everything looks good. And now on the right side of right wing fuel tank, let's do the drain check one more time. Let's see.
Got water.
See, got water.
Fuel has water.
That's why this test is so important. So we got water, so we have to drain it one more time. We have to drain it until it, there's no more water in the tank, because water settles down in the tank. So if we keep draining, the water will, come out. Now checking the right flaps, ailerons, the lights and everything. Right now we will check the fuel quantity. Right here, open the fuel cap, and this is the stick that we dip inside to check how much fuel we have, and it has marking on it. On the left side we have
Not full,
around 20 gallons. That's like almost full, a
but
little less than
15
full.
gallons is good enough.
Yeah, moving on, here is where we check our engine oil. So I can open this cap, twist it anti-clockwise, and
How many hours you have?
240.
Wow.
That's not that bad.
So what are you doing? CPL now?
No, just hobby flying, so
Nice.
just for fun.
Cool.
Maybe one day an instrument rating or something like that. But yeah.
so we got 7 quarts of oil, which is enough. We need to have anything between 6 to 8 quarts. So oil is good. Checking the propeller, the front wheel, and moving on, here we check for check the fuel in the right side wing as well. Open it. It's stuck. Right side I can see the fuel already, so it's full, no need to dip our stick. So we got almost full tank. And then here is the pitot tube, no blocking. Here's the stall warning, no blocking. Checking for the wing. And a visual check is, I have few more things to check, which I will check off camera. Let's drain a little bit of fuel from the engine so that there's no water settling in there. And that's that. And we are all ready.
And right here is my notepad, which I use to note down all the information on the way. So it's a good thing to carry. Usually people carry iPads, but I'm still flying old school anyways. Tightening my seat belts, and there's another checklist that we need to follow before even starting the engine. And before even that, we need to take permission from the ATC to start the engines. But this is an
Yeah.
old plane, so what I'll be doing
Doing is, I'll be starting the engines first, and once we have started the engine, then I'll be requesting for startup from ATC so that we do not drain the batteries. So on my left hand is the key, and on right hand I increase the mixture, and now I'm priming it using the throttle 2 times, 3 times. Now
clear prop.
now we can start the engine, just turning the key like in your car. The procedure is not the same, but
Yeah.
turning the key is similar. Let's start it. With that, our engine has started, and as soon as we start the engine, I turn on the alternator, and then I also turn on our avionics, to talk to the ATC and talk to each other on the airplane. I'm setting up my radios and everything, turning on the lights, and the beacon light was already on, but then landing light and all. Let's request for permission.
Adventure 571 request startup for Taiping, QD04, endurance 4 hours on 9 Mike, November Charlie.
I don't know if you could hear it clearly or not, but I requested for startup for Taiping to the ATC, and now they will give us permission to start. And once they have given us permission, we can request for taxi and ATC clearance. I will show you all that once we have the permission.
So this is a cross-country flight, so we also need a manifest for the passengers, like who all are traveling in the plane. And I forgot it, so that's why I called my friend and I'll let him know that we need the manifest. He'll bring it for us. So basically it carries all the information, how many people are traveling, what is their ID and all that. And meanwhile I'll do the after start checklist. Once that is done, our friend also got our manifest. Now we are all set to go. So here I keep the manifest in the plan. There are a lot of other documents which we need, but now I'll request for taxi and ATC clearance. We have all the documents in our plane already.
Now we are going to start taxiing because we got the taxi clearance. Here I'm putting a squawk code, which is basically an identifier which the ATC or the controllers use to identify the plane, and it also sends our altitude information. Now we start taxiing. The first thing that we do when we start taxiing is checking our brakes. So I check my brakes and it looks good now. Right there is our friend, our marshaller from our club, who is guiding us where to go. So if you can see, left clear, front clear, right clear. I follow his instruction, but I also take precautions from my side. So we're turning and we are good to go. So saying goodbye to our friend marshaller right there, and now I am on taxiway. Tango, yeah, this is Tango, and then we go on to Romeo. So here we cannot do anything without permission from the ATC. So we keep requesting permission from the ATC. So they have cleared me until Romeo. I cannot go beyond Romeo for now. So I'll have to wait here until I get clearance for further clearance to going to the holding point for runway 15. So we'll be taking off from runway 15 once we get clearance to go to the holding point. So after waiting for a few minutes, which I skipped for you guys, we got clearance from the ATC, and now we can proceed further. Actually, we are on Romeo as of now, and then we will go to Tango. I called out Tango the previous taxiway, but that was wrong. This is Tango. Now we are turning to Tango, and we need to follow this yellow line. This is a taxiway line, which tells you if your airplane is in the center of the taxiway or not. It's good to follow it. So we are proceeding on Romeo, and since we are a full flight today, we are a little less than the maximum weight, but still we are full flight, so we are quite heavy. That's why we are gonna take off a little bit further. This is Delta on my left. I could have taken it off from Delta as well if I was not full, but since we are full today, I'm going to take Foxtrot a little longer. That way we'll have a little longer runway for takeoff. Now I am going there, and these taxiways, you can see on the boards there are small boards put on the ground, yellow colored boards. You can see there one little bit further in the distance. That's the board that I'm talking about, and it states which taxiway you are currently on and which taxiway is the next one with an arrow. So let's say you are currently on Romeo, it will highlight the R in black, and then Foxtrot is coming up further, so it will show a left arrow with F written on it. So that's how you know. But it's good thing to carry airport map with you before going anywhere. So now we are approaching Foxtrot on our left. It is almost the middle of the runway 15. So the runway headings, how it works is the number 15 states that we are going almost towards south, basically a little bit towards east or southeast. So let's say if the heading was 18, that would be 180 degrees, and that would be perfect south. So right now we are at Foxtrot, and I'll park it with a good view of landing side of the runway, so that I can see any traffic coming in, any planes coming into land. Right, I am all set. Parking brakes on. Now I have to do pre-run-up checks and pre-takeoff checks. So for pre-run-up check, I'll increase the RPM to 1700 for this plane, and then I'll check the magnetos. Magnetos are basically spark plugs in your car. Similar to those, there are magnetos in the airplane, so you need to check. If you switch to one magneto instead of two, there is a RPM drop for your engine. And if there is not, that means one of your magnetos is not working, and then you cannot take off. So that's why. But our pre-takeoff checks are all good, closing the windows and everything. Now I'm doing the pre-takeoff checks. And there's another thing, that you cannot use takeoff word with the ATC unless you are actually cleared to take off. Just a fun fact. Now I'm setting up all the SIG packs, and we are ready. Now we have got the clearance from the ATC to line up on the runway, and looking left, front and right, looking there's no traffic. We are clear to go to the runway. Now I'm going towards the runway, and there's another thing. There was a line just behind where we were standing. If you cross that line without permission, that would be reported as an incident, which is called runway incursion. So far from the runway, if you cross, just your propeller crosses that line, it's a runway incursion. So these things are, you need to take care of all that. So now we are cleared for takeoff as well. Let's go full throttle, and we will be taking off at 55 knots.
throttle full. So now we are ready for takeoff. I have applied full throttle and here we go, waiting for the airspeed to come up. Now airspeed is alive, so we'll be taking it off at 55 knots. Now we are at around 40 knots, waiting for 55, and as soon as we hit 55, I pull on the column like that, and we just take off easy peasy. You cannot pull too much, because if you pull too much there is a chance of tail strike. Not on I mean, it's rare on small planes like Cessna, but on bigger planes there might be a tail strike if you pull too much. But you know that the plane wants to take off, and you just pull lightly and it does take off. Now we have to apply a lot of right rudder to keep the center line, because when the propeller turns, it gives adverse yaw. I mean, basically, just to understand, it pulls to the left. So you keep applying right rudder to keep the center line. And when you reach 300 feet, now I'm at 300 feet, you pull up the flaps and turn off the landing lights and put your brakes on and off, so that your wheels can stop spinning. So at 300 feet is like the first safe altitude where you can deviate from your takeoff. Now after 300 feet we will wait for 500 feet. Right now I'm at around 450 feet, and at 500 feet I'll make a right turn and go towards the west. So now we are at 500 feet and I am starting to make the turn. We'll just make a slight right turn and we'll go to the heading of 270, right? So if you see the big, no, the clock like thing right there on the dashboard, that's the altimeter that shows how high we are right now. It is showing around 700 feet. So we also have to wait till 500 feet, because there's an air force base on the right of the airport. So you do not want to overfly that, because then they'll make a lot of noise, say why did you fly over that. Now we are heading towards Kapar at the heading of, we are flying basically west. So if you see, you must be able to see a little bit of shoreline right in front there. So that's basically the western side of Malaysia. That's the sea. So we'll go there, and from there we'll turn more towards right and we'll fly towards north, because Taiping is north of Subang. And now we are almost at Kapar. So you see this patch of land, that's the identifier. So we are on Kapar and you see the shoreline more clearly now, and we'll right turn now. After flying for 1.5 hours, now finally we are approaching Taiping. We are close to Taiping, basically maybe half an hour more. So what happened is our flight got a little bit complicated, because there's a military exercise going on at some of the areas. So that's why we had to divert a little bit. We could not follow our original flight plan, but anyhow we are here now. And if you see, I am able to see Taiping right now, but maybe you will not be able to see it as of now. Yep, now it's better. So if you follow the road on my left and you see there's a small patch of open land that you see right there, that is I think that is the airport. So let me mark it up for you right there. That seems like the airport. So we will go and do a low flyby there, so that we know that our runway is clear. There's no runway actually, but we have to make sure there's no debris, animal, or any sort of other things which are there. So because if we just go directly into land and there's any obstacle, then it will be very dangerous. So we'll just do a low flyby, and then inspecting the runway, we'll finally land. So now it's more clear. You see, that's Taiping right there. So we are gonna do, there are no markings, there are no runway markings here like you have in your standard airport. So but that's why we'll be landing towards the north. We just finished our flyby, and the runway is I mean, the patch of grass is pretty clear. There are no obstacles, so we are good to land. So now we are just going around after our flyby, and then we'll set up for downwind. Right now I'm just turning towards the south, because there's no runway marking, but we know that the most space is towards the north. So that's why we will be setting up towards the south as our downwind. Basically we'll be flying parallel to the runway in order to set up for landing, and once we are towards the south, we'll do our downwind checks. So downwind checks are basically, you need to check whether you are ready for landing or not. Like, you remember we did pre-takeoff checks, so these are pre-landing checks that we need to do. We check if our fuel is on both, mixture rates and all that, temperature, pressure, engine is all good and all that, right? So now we are at downwind. I have completed all my checks, and then we will start our base turn, which is kind of perpendicular to the landing direction, right? So our landing heading is again 360, as I said. So our base leg would be 270, which will be west. So now I'm turning towards base. Now we are all set for landing, and we will turn towards final, which is our final heading 360 towards north, which is, kind of our runway heading without the runway. Okay, so we'll be landing towards the north. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a short field landing with full flaps. So we use flaps to reduce our speed, but still maintaining the lift, right? So I'll be using full flaps, and usually the landing speed is 70 knots. In Cessna, 70 knots is, if I convert it, comes out to be around 120 kilometers per hour, plus minus 10 knots, 10 kilometers per hour. But now, since we are full flaps, I am gonna keep it 65 knots, a little bit less than 120. And there, if you see, there's the runway. So I'll keep maintaining 65 knots, and if you can see, our altitude is decreasing, and right now we are almost at 300 feet and still reducing. Here we don't have any runway markings, which usually we use for, uh, deciding our aiming point, and we aim for that to land. But here I'm using this white patch of land, just went by that. Now I'll pull my power to idle and pull back to flare. So you must be hearing the stall horn. That means we are losing lift and we are stalling, which is a good thing while landing. So here we touched down, and that was a beautiful landing. So basically, I didn't find any a lot of difference in landing, because it's almost similar to landing on the runway. But only thing is, the ground roll is too is very less compared to on the runway. On the runway you wouldn't need power, and you can roll towards the end of the runway altogether. But here the airplane wants to stop itself. Now I'm turning around and, taxi towards the meetup place. So I'll go there. Here I have to put a lot of power to the airplane just to keep it moving, because it doesn't want to move. So that's the only difference that I found here. Now if you see, I'll show you in a bit. On the left, you're not able to see now, there are the hangars, right? We will be going there for our meetup. There is a short patch of cement or mortar that they advised us on the radio that we can use to taxi. So I'm going towards that, and once I reach there, we'll use that to taxi. Right there it is, and we'll taxi on this. Yeah, if the conditions are worse, let's say it's raining or something, then I think the landing would have been more difficult. But today is a bright and nice sunny day, so it was not that difficult to land here. Don't go anywhere yet, because I'll show you what's happening here in the camps. We have made it to the camps, and if you see, look in front, there's the master who is guiding us where to park our plane. He crosses his arm, that means we need to stop, and we stop here. And we shut down the engine. To shut down, basically we'll turn off all the equipments, radios, and everything, and then we cut off the fuel supply to the engine, and that's how we shut down the engine. And that's it. We made it to Taiping. Oh man,
Well done, buddy. Well done.
Yeah, it was nice. We can get out of plane and we can even reuse it.
Please,
Perfect.
please, because I want to get out of the plane.
It is pretty exciting, but it was a long flight. And let me show you, this is a powered paraglider, or you can call it paramotor. Basically this Taiping airfield is used for this by one of our club members who also flies with us, but he owns this airstrip, and he uses it for these paramotors. Pretty exciting, right? I'm just really excited to be here itself. This is the first, those are our planes right there. That's NCU, and here is BDX, which I show you in the morning when we were starting our flight. right? It was a long and tiring flight. It was quite hot, but now it's cool and fun. Here is the garage where they fix their paramotors. They also have few cars right there. Now it's the time to go back, and I'll be hitching a ride with BDX. In this flight, I'm just a passenger, so I'll be just sitting and relaxing, doing nothing. Shah is flying with me. He will be taking us back, and we are taking the same route for taxi now. All set. Three of us on the airplane, and we are gonna take off towards the north. I think it is gonna be similar, but it's just a short field takeoff instead of the normal takeoff that we did in the morning. uh, Check this out. The short field takeoff is basically you just hold power until you get hold brakes until you have full power, and then suddenly release it, so you get a burst of power, and you use flaps. Then I think that's it. So because it is a short runway, you need to use this technique to take off. And I think we are all set for takeoff, and he's preparing everything. I don't have nothing to worry about on this flight. And we already took off, and we are on our way back to home. That right there is Pankor. It's another island where we flew off with a short runway. I have another video for that island. If you are interested, please make sure you check it out. Right there, I think few people are racing down there on their speedboards. Yeah, pretty interesting. Now we are back at Subang, and right there is our usual runway, all set for landing. Here, the runway is 15, so we are landing towards the south. Ta 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 ta. Flare, 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 and touchdown. So we have landed, and it was a great trip. I hope you enjoyed it as well. See you in the next one. If you like this video, please consider subscribing.
This guy's not slowing down. Yeah, that's confirmed. He's not stopping. Code 3.